Hello ratbags, it's Jade Plays Games. Welcome to Planet Nomads, a little tiny showcase preview of the game set in space, another survival game. I know you're sick of them. To be fair, there aren't that many out available at the moment, especially on console. Apart from No Man's Sky, which I bet you're looking at this thinking, it has some similarities. There really isn't that much going around. I think the survival genre itself, especially on PC, there's a massive amount, particularly the space age ones now. Osiris New Dawn, Rock H, Laguna Passage, not to mention a bunch more in very different stages of early access. So what makes this one stand out? Why are you going to be picking up Planet Nomads? Well, it has got customization a lot more than some of them other games. Everything you're seeing here can be minutely built. The base system, the building system is massively intricate, and that's probably one of its best strengths. Also probably one of its weaknesses though. So I'm going to give you a lowdown on why I think that. I've spent a good few hours with it. I will be doing another episode of this, showing you guys again what my final thoughts are after I've played around with it a little bit more. Let's dive into Planet Nomads. So you start off Subnautica styley in a pod crash landing onto a planet. Once you get out of the planet, you look around and there are a bunch of different weird and colourful creatures and plant life all around you. The visuals are very similar, I think, to Subnautica. In fact, you could argue it could be a Subnautica on land, but it has got much more to it than that. So the developer Craneballs is quite known for mobile games. They've made 5 or 6 of them, and this is their first attempt at a PC game. They kicked it off with a Kickstarter last year, and the game has just gone into early access on PC in May. You can see the environment is very colourful, and the terrain features, you can actually mine into the terrain, so you can literally craft as many craters and holes as you want. When you're looking at the menu system here, it's pretty standard. You've got health, you've got food, you've got water, so it has got them heavy elements of survival. But there is a creative mode as well. Now when I tried the creative mode, I couldn't really get to grips with it. I don't know if I was doing something silly, I just couldn't work it, but I couldn't get any of the machines to work. So maybe it was a bug or a glitch. I will be looking back at that in the next part of the preview or showcase of the actual game. What you're seeing here, obviously, it's just the components that you need. Bog standard sort of stuff, you know, bandages, batteries, herbs you can use to make into like med kits and special things to heal you. So it's pretty, you know, standard stuff. I quite like the UI at the moment. Obviously it may change. It's quite simple. It's probably just a placeholder at the moment. I'm sure they're going to jazz it up when it comes to full launch. No plans yet on Xbox or PS4. All I know is that it's going to be coming out on the PC for definite, obviously, as long as it gets through the early access period. You use your actual tool, multi-tool, to actually gather resources, and you pretty much just go around destroying everything. Trees, grass, rocks, that is what you're aiming for here. There are different biomes. Some of them are pretty different. There's lots of water ones, there's desert ones, and as soon as you actually shot at something, it will gather up the resources for you. The tool is on a rundown, so you can see there on the bottom left hand side, the more you use it, the more you're going to have to wait, and you will need to replace batteries into these items to make them run. You can see the items, or the engrams I call them, they're the ones you're going to be obviously working on unlocking to build more things for your base. It all revolves around these 3D printers. There's different sort of tiers of printers. This is the first one, the basic one that you start with, and you build it up like 7 Days to Die, where you have to repair things. You have to then actually build it up from scratch, so you have to get the resources before you can actually finish the job. It's a different way, and I quite like it. I think this is what really sets it out, not the survival aspects, maybe not even the space theme, but this idea of construction and the way that the construction is handled. The more you upgrade these things, the more you're going to need either electricity and more complicated systems to get the resources into these machines. You can see here, this is the inventory system at the moment. You put the items in the top right there, and then it gives you an option of what you want to make and tells you what you actually need even more of if you're running low on it. It took me a few minutes to get my head around it. Although there was simple buttons and it kind of said exactly what it was doing, it didn't feel too intuitive, but I guess that's just because I've been used to some other games probably. Gathering resources is forefront at most of these style games. You're gonna have to spend a lot of time grinding to get them, but it didn't seem too punishing, and there seemed to be lots of resources around. Unlike other games like Osiris New Dawn, where the resources are permanently placed in certain locations, this one seemed like everything was kind of around you and seemed a little bit more random, which I really liked. No one wants to spend half an hour going across a map just to get one resource. There are creatures, there are animals in the game, and yes, they can attack you. They've recently only just added added a rifle to defend yourself with. There is a lack of weapons. It's definitely more of an exploration game, I would say, rather than a survival for your life game. There are survival elements, like I said. You can see in the bottom left I've got health, and you need to keep your food and your water up, but it's not my main focus, not yet anyway. They may have big plans to implement more monsters or more creatures that you have to fight against or use certain things against, but at the moment it's a bit more sedate, a bit more relaxed in terms of just going around. That's not to say they're not dangerous. The creatures can attack you, and I'll show you that in a while, but at the moment the AI on it seems a little bit simple, and so you won't have too much trouble avoiding any of them. So base building, when you've unlocked certain items or you've started to think about crafting stuff, it automatically unlocks the next building blocks whenever you craft a brand new resource or brand new item, and these are the base plates. Now, when I said the base building was its greatest strength and its greatest weakness, it's because of the options you can do. Again, you still have to build it up, so once you've placed the shell, you then have to basically aim at it with the resources to build it up. The base building is really complex. You can make really small minute changes, or you can add things in certain directions. The building squares are really tiny. It allows you to create really detailed bases depending on what you want to do. There's all sorts of different pieces, doors, frames, and I'll be showing that off in the second part, but certainly if you're into base building and you like that aspect of it, you are going to love this game. And that extends to the vehicles as well. There are vehicles in the game. There's a chassis at the moment. I'm sure they might be looking at other stuff where you can basically make the car or the rover however you want to make it look. So you can see here, this is the basic sort of schematics of the rover. Once you've got these unlocked, you can then go ahead and just put whatever you want on it in terms of the building blocks, and it's got a nice little tutorial built, just go through everything with your little survival in the tabs there. It's nothing too hand holding at the moment. There's no big huge tutorial, and I quite like that. I think some games, especially games like these now, people are getting used to them, so it's kind of, you know, you don't need too much help. Although I did spend half an hour in creative mode before I finally realised I was doing something wrong. And can see that it gives you an idea of the actual connections with electricity. There's all sorts of biomatter as well that you have to make to run some of these things, and yeah, there's a special vision, they call it build vision, where you can easily place things. That's probably its weakness. So I said it's really good, you can really customise your building. The weakness is the placement. There is no real grid system at the moment. Trying to place smaller intricate pieces was a real pain in the butt. You are going to need to have a little bit of patience in trying to get the things where you want them to go. However, it's fairly easy to correct yourself. Just one click and you delete the piece. You don't have to wait 5 seconds for it to degrade or slowly disappear. You simply just press the button and it disappears, and you've got it back in your inventory, or you've got the resources back. There's lots of machines, there's lots of little boxes. They felt a little bit similar. You know, I think when you've got things like this that don't look like normal items in the everyday world, because it's a sci-fi game, you need to differentiate them a little bit, and apart from just maybe their little bit of size or a little bit of shape, they just didn't seem unique enough or different enough. So I hope they maybe change the box shapes or do something with them, add a little bit of colour, make something that really says what it is on the outside, so you don't have to just always go up to it and look inside it. That would definitely help, and it would make the aesthetic of the game a little bit better as well, to make it really feel like you're a explorer in space and you've crashed landed, but there are company resources and these are company buildings, maybe even having names on the actual pieces. That would be really cool. Yeah, resources, mining, that's what you're going to be doing. You can see you can shoot the creatures with your mining, and I didn't unlock the pistol, but there is a rifle as well. Yeah, it's okay. Like, obviously I nearly got my arse handed to me actually by the simple life form that I was talking about, but that's okay because I die in pretty much every game I ever play. The creatures do remind me of No Man's Sky, and it's gonna, all games like this unfortunately are going to be compared to that game from now on. Just hopefully they can rise above it. It's unfortunate because lots of these games would be really unique and would be really special on their own, but the way that people got burnt over No Man's Sky, I think it puts people off games like this. You don't see many of them on YouTube as much as you might have done, and it's a real shame, especially coming from small developers like these, where they could have some really unique stuff, like the building, like the rover building as well, particularly customization and the way that things work. There are a bunch of systems where you need piping or they call them conveyors, where you have to convey the items or the resources from one machine into another. That's what I really liked. That reminded me of Scrap Mechanic. I really like that idea that, you know, you're building almost like a mini factory in your space station or your base. That is something I really want to play around with in creative once I work out how to actually play it a little bit better. The electricity system's pretty good. It's a bit like the tether system in Subnautica, and maybe Fallout 4 even, where you just simply connect one piece to a battery and there you go, it's job done. There's no like big massive complicated ideas with it. You don't need loads of different pieces. You just simply put the battery on the floor or a different type of generator and then connect that generator up to whatever else you've got. This is the biomatter sort of energy giver, so this will make electricity once you put the stuff in, or petrol, and there you go. You can see I've made the containers now, and you're going to rely on stuff, so you kind of put all your sort of natural resources or food types, plants, vegetation, into this machine, and it can convert it to you. Obviously you still do need to eat, and you need to work out what you can eat, and like I said, you can craft other things to help you, give you little buffs and boosts. The left hand side you can see my little diagrams or description showing where I need help. Obviously I was pretty red there, so I went to sleep and I woke and I was pretty refreshed. There is a stamina bar on it as well that keeps you a little bit drained, and it maybe keeps you from running around exploring too much. There is a jetpack, which I didn't really show off enough in here, but the jetpack, you can go massively high. It just basically goes on and on and on until you risk the, you know, the problem of when you've got to get back down. So be careful when using jetpack. The game looks great though, the lighting effects, you know, I like that style of the world. I really enjoyed that from No Man's Sky. That aspect of the colours were a little bit washed out and just a little bit bright in certain places. There are lots of other biomes, and I'm hopefully going to be able to show you them once we build our car in the second part. So they've just had an update, a brand new update come through. It allows you tethers, or it allows you ropes. There's an issue with the cars that you make. If they spin or they turn over, you can't actually lift them up because they're so heavy. So developers have put something really simple in it. They've actually put a winch system, so you can connect it up to your car, as you can see here. And I love this. I love this aspect. And you can see more details about how the car moves and how you have to put it together. That is definitely very much like Scrap Mechanic. If you've not seen Scrap Mechanic, it's a really good sort of sandbox game for building contraptions and stuff. And such a simple idea, but it's really good instead of just flipping a button and kicking your vehicle over. You can apply that to other ways though, like you see in here with the drawbridge. So creative builders out there, I really think you're going to enjoy this game. If you really like the process of making stuff and creating sort of complex systems, then I think you're going to enjoy it. They've adjusted the day and night length a little bit as well. Night was too long, so it just shows what they're doing. They're updating it fairly regularly. Every few weeks they're giving something small or something like this just to add to it, and I like that aspect. No idea about when they're going to receive the next big update, but certainly small things like this will keep players happy, hopefully. So at the moment, if you like exploring, you like a little bit laid back exploration in space, go ahead and get Planet Nomads. I'll be concluding the second part with gameplay of the vehicle and the rest of the world very soon.